Hi, everybody. I'm Wendy Murdoch, and this is Webinars with Wendy. On Fridays, we always talk about Surefoot. And today I have with me both Alex Hamilton, who was with me last time, because she's going to help us with the drawing for the contest today. But I also have Bradley Schneider, my other half, and the engineer behind Surefoot. So I thought it'd be really fun today to have Brad join us and talk a bit about the Surefoot pads, especially since the drawing this week was what pad would you like, what you have and what you like. So I thought it would be great to kind of talk a bit about the pads themselves and what makes them different from anything else, and why we work with the materials that we do. So welcome everybody. Hi, Brad. You get to unmute yourself. Oh, I should probably make you co-host.
Yeah.
There we go. So just go ahead and tell people a little bit about your background.
Okay, are we getting some feedback?
Yeah, we are.
You know, let me.
I don't hear it.
Oh, you don't hear it? Maybe it's just here. If you don't hear it, then we can live with it.
Okay, because I was going to say I'd take the iPad and go in the shop. Yeah, that may get annoying.
I can drop my sound down. Try now.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can
I
they
heard
hear
it
you?
for a second, but it sounds okay now.
No. Okay, we're playing with this. Maybe you have to grab your iPad back, Brad.
All right, let me go do that.
So we're in the same room, which obviously, can you log out of there?
Yeah, I'm.
Bye, Brad. Wendy, you're muted.
Unmute. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm unmuted. So, you know, that's the one thing about Zoom is sometimes when you want to bring somebody in that's in the same room, it doesn't work out quite too well. So in the meantime, basically, what we're going to talk about is how we came up with these pads. And basically, we're celebrating our 5-year anniversary because it was 5 years ago, January, when we actually launched them. But we were 1.5 years to 2 years in development of our products before they actually were introduced. And Brad is actually the guy who came up with our products because I am the artist. So I came home one day and said to Brad, can we make something like this, only better, that really, really works for horses? And Brad, being the engineer, he just started scurrying around on the computer. And of course, I just kept doing what I was doing, teaching and traveling. So wasn't really paying attention until he came to me and said that he found a company that was willing to work with us. But it did take us about 2 years to work out the actual products. And quite frankly, we're still in R&D, research and development. And Brad is the one behind that because I come home and one of my clients says, you know, can you do X, Y, or Z? And then I come home and I say to Brad, can we do X, Y, or Z? And then Brad starts researching it. So we've got a couple other products in the pipeline. We've mentioned the boot insert pads, and that again has been Brad's research project, and we are getting much closer. We got a couple other details to work out on them, but we're really hoping to be able to launch the boot inserts by the end of March. So when we do, yeah, I know, we're really excited about it because we've sent them out for beta testing, and the results, people that we have testing the boot inserts, and we don't need any more testers. Thank you. I know everybody would be eager to be our testers, but the people that are using it have come back with really good feedback, and it's helped us improve our design. So that's where we're at right now. And as you can see, Brad's obviously in the shop, and we'll make him a co-host. Are you there, Brad?
There he is.
You're muted. So you just have to unmute. I can ask you to unmute, see if that helps.
There, is that better?
Yep. All right,
Okay.
so I'm going to let Brad introduce himself and give you his background so you understand why he is so good at what he does in helping me when I come home with an idea. And believe me, there's been a lot of them. And then Brad scurries around to figure it out. Not all of our ideas have worked out, but the Surefoot pads certainly have. So welcome, Brad.
Okay. All right. So my background is an engineer. I'm actually an environmental engineer, but over the course of my career, I've been thrown into just a whole range of different opportunities. I've been in all kinds of factories and manufacturing environments, and in doing so, I've been problem solving, pretty much all my life. And even as a kid, I was always tinkering with things. And my dad was very, very talented. Unfortunately, he never got a chance to go to college, but through him, I learned a lot about how to look at things, solve problems, and everything else. So again, I did a lot of work. I was living in Michigan, doing a lot with the automotive manufacturers and such. And that's when I met Wendy. And that was more at a riding clinic. So long story short, ended up in Virginia with her. Went through a whole bunch of different things. But when it came to Surefoot, she was using another product that was out of the human world and really wasn't up to the task of being stood on by a horse. So she came to me one night and said, with very frustrated, and said, can we make something? And as an engineer, the one word that we don't have in our vocabulary is the word no. And I said, sure we can, not really having any thought about what I just got myself into. So the first thing I did was to start looking at some foams and finding some manufacturers. And then I said, well, I need someone who can fabricate, because I don't have any fabrication. I can do, general stuff. And I spoke with about 11 companies and got it down to 3. And the folks that we worked with was the only company that really came back and started to talk to me and sort of got what I was about. And that was because, ironically, the fellow who I started talking with, his wife was working for a company that made equine pharmaceuticals. And so he had, he didn't ride and anything, but he understood horses, for better or worse. So I could talk to him and throw ideas at him, and he'd come back and go, oh, well, what about this? What about that? And so when we started out, he knew the kinds of foams that we needed to work with. And so the start of that was about a portfolio of about 3,000 different foams. And then we just kept, shrinking it down, till we got to the 4 or 5 that, were going to be the ones that worked. And to his credit, we were talking about durability and being able to modify the response of the foam to the horse. And he came up with the idea, and it was to his credit, of this is a piece of firm material, and you see the white line here. That's our top layer. That's our diffusion layer. Okay, it's the same material that's in the hard pads, but when we put weight on it, weight gets dispersed through that, versus the underside where it presses back up directly to the horse's foot. But it did 2 things. One is it added the durability to the product, and he also had, like now we have all the different colors. He had a bucket of material that's the same. It's the same material, but it's used on the slants. This yellow, and he said, "I've had this. I don't know what to do with it." So I said, "Well, let's throw a coat on there and just see, what it does." And that's how we started with our colorations of the different pads. But the other part of it is, if someone tries to go and make a pad and throw something together, if you don't see that white line, that's a distinguishing mark that it's a Surefoot pad. Okay, so it's one of the little things that we've done. So again, it was a matter of testing.
And Brad, just to clarify, that's not on all the pads, but it is on firm, medium, soft, and firm slant.
And firm slants, yes, because the hard slant is a solid piece of the hard material, and the hard is just that. It's the solid block of the hard material. But again, it was the idea that you have now 2 surfaces to work with. So there's 2 responses that the foot can receive from our pads. And again, it was by making them very, very durable. So, you know, that's kind of how we got started with all of this. And as a result, you know, through different things, we ended up with the physio pad. And first it was large, and then someone said, oh, it's a little too large. So then we ended up with a physio half physio pad. So that product came about. We had the firm slant, and then someone said, could you make a slant out of the hard? Sure enough, we could make a hard. So the feedback that people give us, you know, we really listen to it to see what can be done. Another good example of that is our X-ray block. Okay, that's yet another material that I found literally wandering around in the factory. I was up there to pick up a load of product, and every time I go up there, I go down on the floor. And there's a fellow there, his name is Jerry, and he is the key guy who puts these pads together. So I was wandering around, and I saw this stuff, and I grabbed a piece of it, and I asked him what it was, and we got into a discussion. And so long story short, it's a very, very dense material. It is still a foam. And that's the unique thing, is you can get foams that are as hard as a brick, and you can get foams that are soft, like our soft pads, you know, and it goes anywhere in between. And that's why we've been able to come up with these different densities and different, you know, foam responses.
And
but
you know,
I,
some
but
people, you know, the pads do show wear. They get nicks and tears and cuts, and we've had people
Right.
say, oh, my pad looks worn. That just means you're using it, because we did make a pad that was completely durable and would not show any wear, and it didn't work. So we're constantly working between the responsiveness of the material so that we see the changes in the horse and durability. And so this is something that people need to recognize, is that yes, we can make a pad that will never show a damage and it won't work. And that's one of the things I can remember. There was a blue foam, Brad. I don't know if you remember that foam that somebody sent us. And you know, I sent it down actually to Disneyland, because I have Disney World down in Florida. I have a good friend down there who tested it out. And she came with draft horses, big, heavy draft horses. And she came back and said it didn't do anything for the horses. So, you know, that's part of the research and development that we go through here. And Brad is actually over in the workshop. Our business is out of our home. It's in our basement at this point. So everything you see, that's where it's coming from, is Brad's research side and the office side, where I am in my level.
yeah, we're literally a global cottage industry. So I just mentioned this white material. Okay, so out of the white material came the X-ray block. Again, it was feedback when a veterinarian, and I don't know if it was to you, Wendy, or it was to me, said, I hate the wooden blocks. Oh, I know, it was at the Hoof Summit. I had someone come up and he said, I hate the wooden block. He was a farrier out of Florida. And he said,
there were two vets that came to you at Hoof Summit.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And they said they hated the wooden blocks because the horses didn't like standing on them. And it just made the whole process, you know, a nervous situation. And he said, you know, and he says, I'm always after my guys, take your blocks out, put the horse on a block, and people didn't like doing them and everything. So he said, could you make us something? So out of that came our X-ray block, okay, which is this very, very dense material, okay? But the beauty is that when you shoot an X-ray, the material is transparent to the X-ray. So this way it doesn't produce the ghosting or shadow, but it gives enough that the horse feels comfortable and stable while they're taking their X-rays. And that's just going to make it safer for the horse and safer for the farrier or vet or whoever's doing the radiographs. So, you know, that was one product. Then again, we got more feedback, and we got a picture from who's that did the one that showed the
Ida Hammer was down with Dr. Deb Taylor, and they were working with Formahoof down there, and they put the physio pad on top of a wood X-ray block and took some radiographs. And so that has sent us in another direction and making a second block for veterinarians. Yeah.
there it is. So what you have is this white is the very hard material that is our X-ray block. Then you have the gray, which is a medium material, which is the base, basically the same gray material that's on your physio pad, and then the firm or the hard material, which is the top surface of the physio pad. So the farrier can have the horse stand on this side, okay, and this is not going to give very much, okay, and the bottom will conform to whatever they're standing on. So again, it's safe. Or more importantly, they can go this way, and the top will give. And so if that horse is toe loading, okay, and this is something that I when we were at Hoof Summit and we were showing the hard pads, okay, I would ask this question to farrier after farrier after farrier who come by, and I would say, if I had a horse standing here on this floor, and you looked at him, I said, could you tell me if he's toe loading or side loading or just what he's doing? And, you know, some of the old crusty guys, you know, well, I would do this and I could tell this and that. Okay, fine. But most everybody said, no, there's really no way to tell. So with the hard pad, stand them on it. When the horse steps off, now you've got an impression. So now you can look, oh, he's toe loading, he's side loading. The same thing here. When you're going to take a radiograph, the horse can stand on this. And if he's toe loading, you'll see that because it will set into the material, but the material isn't going to show up on the x-ray or the radiograph. So this way you can see, you know, what's going on, and what's that going to result? It's going to end up result with a better shoeing or trimming, you know, or it may be showing something else. I don't know. All that we're doing is we're providing another tool that allows you to gather more information, to see deeper inside what's going on in that foot. So, you know, this was a product, and we're waiting for pieces to come back from our folks up north, because we played with one size. And as Wendy said, and you can see this is just a small little piece, because I literally took a piece of material I had, I took a physio pad, cut it, you know, glued everything together, cut it down, and we sent it off to a vet who said it needs to be bigger. So we changed the size. So now we're waiting for our first few pieces to come back. We'll get those out, we'll get feedback, and then lo and behold, we'll have another product. So you know, feedback is great for us, great for me, because again, I get to do a lot of playing, and I don't know if I can.
I have a picture of, I'm just going to share my screen here for a second before you do that.
Okay.
Of one of our prototypes. This
Yep.
was at a vet clinic, and this is the prototype block that Brad just showed you. It obviously, that's why we are making it bigger, but you can see that it's the physio pad on the bottom, and you can see how much it's squished on this side. I don't know if I can, yeah, and you can
Yep.
see it squishing on this side and big on that side. So you can use that block on either side.
Yep.
And you know, we're waiting for our first run production to show up. We're hoping it's going to
Yep.
arrive soon, but just so you get an idea of some of the things that we spend our time doing here during the pandemic.
Well, and again, because of Surefoot and what it does for the horse and allowing veterinarians to work with the horses in a more calm manner, we had who's the vet up at the DuPont Center?
Dr. Kelleher.
Dr. Kelleher. When you got up there and done a demonstration, which they loved and everything, and then we got talking about their MRI, and she took us over and showed us the unit, which is, you know, like in a hospital. It's in a big room. You can't bring any magnetic materials in or cell phones or anything else. But the thing about it is it had a really hard floor. There was a bit of rubber there, but it was really a hard floor. And when you have horses that are there and they're being, you know, you do an MRIs because, you know, they're lemonetic or, you know, a range of other things. You need that horse to be calm and comfortable while they're trying to take these images. So what we did is we had some large pieces of material And I went up there one evening when nothing was going on, and we actually cut and I created very large mats so that the horse could stand and stand comfortably while they're doing the MRI. So again, it was another application. We thought it might work for anyone who's got an MRI, but there's some variations on their designs and everything else. So each one would have to be sort of custom fit. But here again, the benefit was that
I have a photo of that, Brad, so I'm going to screen share again.
okay. But the benefit is that, you know, the horses can stand calmly while they're trying to be, you know, you're running an MRI. And let's see. Oh, yep, there it is.
Yeah, cool.
There it is. So it was one big mat. And so, like I said, I had to go up there and I had sheets of cardboard and I taped them all together so that I could cut a template and then trace it onto the mat and then hand cut it so that it fit there on the MRI. And they love it. They said it works very nice and they're very, very happy with that. So again, that was sort of a test on our part. It isn't really a product per se, but it's something that, you know, if a vet came to us and said, hey, I have a machine and I really want to do that. Yeah, we can work with it. So the other thing, again, it's playing with materials all the time here. And if I can do this a little
Brad,
bit.
somebody's asked what kind of glues we use.
I can tell you that they are glues by 3M. Here again, much credit to, I got a cat in the background who's deciding boxes need to be.
I'll come get the cat while you keep talking.
Oh, well, or throw her out. I don't care.
There's always cats.
Yes, we have two. The glues that we use are a solvent-based glue. They're made by 3M. And thankfully, and much to 3M's credit, when we've had issues of very early on, we were having some issues with delamination. And so we switched glues. It was basically the same formulation, but it had a color in it, had a tint, a pink tint. So this way, when it was rolled on, especially on the medium and soft pads, you could see clearly where you had applied the glue. And what we determined was that there were occasions where we weren't getting even enough application of glue. So, so right now, all the glues are produced by 3M. And the folks there have really mastered it, because it's not just a matter of saying, oh, take a piece of foam and slap another piece on and just glue it. You know, no, it's a technique of how you apply the glue. You first go one direction, then you have to go another direction. You have to wait a little bit to get a certain tack on that glue before you apply your top layer. So there is an art to making these pads. And it's taken us, how many years, Wendy, for those guys to master the art?
You know, that's one of the things that we had to work out. And we drove our factory crazy for a little while there with the gluing process in the early days. We had some problems with some of the pads, not all of them, but I will tell this story. In the very beginning, I took a set of pads. I went to Colorado, and it's at least 5,000 feet. And I went there with the pads, and they were all the yellow tops at the time. And all of a sudden there were these lumps in the surface of the pad. And I've got some pictures of it somewhere here. I'll see if I can find them. And it kept growing, and it kept growing and growing. And there were more and more lumps. And I felt like there was an amoeba or something, some alien living inside the pad. Well, what it was very small bubbles in the glue, that it wasn't completely, oh, here, I have it. I have this picture. And let me just share my screen. And There we go. And the thing is, in Colorado, because of the altitude, a little tiny pocket of air where the glue wasn't complete expanded and caused the bubbles. And every day there were more and more bubbles. The simple solution is just prick it with a pin and it lays back down. But at the time, this was my very first experience taking pads to altitude. And it was quite fascinating to watch this happen. So it's really funny to go back and consider some of the things that we've been through over the 5 years, things like that. I haven't had that happen in a long time, but if it ever does happen, it'll usually happen at altitude. And the other time it might happen is if you leave your pads in a hot car or a hot trailer or anywhere exposed or in direct sunlight. So, we always say that with your pads, if you would not leave your dog in the car, don't leave your pads in the car. If you would not leave your dog in the hot trailer, don't leave your pads in the hot trailer or in the direct sunlight. Did I try to drown them? I actually have submerged them and they're totally fine. They actually float. They might be useful if you were ever in a pool. Alex is laughing.
Well, I'm just trying to think of all the scenarios where you and your Surefoot pad would end up needing to use it as a flotation device.
Hey, you never know, right?
You never know.
We did recently have someone post on the fans page about using them on a slippery surface. And so, you want to really be careful and check out your surface. And if you're at all concerned, step on the pad and kind of see if it'll slide easily, like a wet surface, a slick surface, or in one case, like it was humid and it was on top of hay, I believe. So just always check your surface and make sure your pad isn't going to be super slippy. That's the same thing for you. You just always want to take that care to make sure you're working in a good environment. An arena is really great, but we don't always have an arena where we can work with our pads. Alex, have you had any comments or questions lately from people that might be good to share with the group at large here?
Well, I just wanted to say about what you were just saying. If you're using your pads with the colored side down, please be careful. You need to maybe limit your use of the pads with the color side down to an arena or something like that. I wouldn't try it on concrete. That seems to, right?
Yeah. So just always take care, check it out first, make sure that the surface you're working on is safe and the pad's not going to slip. I have found when I've been working at expos that the cement floors with just the hard rubber mats, horses really didn't feel comfortable. That's not 100%, but I saw a pattern where I had to work in a very small arena on cement floor with a hard rubber mat that the horses, I think they didn't feel secure with their other feet. And so they weren't sure about Surefoot in that instance. I think Brad's got something there he's working on that he's going to show. What are you doing, Brad?
Well, I was just going to kind of give people a little look-see, kind of, behind the curtain. Like I say, you come up with an idea.
Not sure what curtain he's opening here, folks. Okay.
And it's like Oz. It's like the man behind the curtain at Oz.
Well, yes, exactly, Alex. I mean, after 15 years, nothing surprises me. Wendy will come to me and say, "Oh, I got this idea," and like for her riding instruction, she used to carry a couple little pieces of stick that she'd found in an arena to try and get people to hold their hands level. And she said, I'd like to, they need to hold their hands level. And I went down to the shop, found a dowel, found an old level, I tore it apart and took a router, cut a little slot, put a little bubble level in it, came up and I said, "Is this what you want?" And she's like, yeah, this is great. This is great. So again, it's whatever her brain can come up with, I end up having to figure out how to go put it together. So again, just so people can kind of see, I'm on the iPad, so bear with me here. But okay, let's see where, there. Okay, I've got piles of all kinds of foams, okay? I work with different companies.
There you go.
Is that better? There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So they'll send me, I'm looking for something and I'll get a conversation with them and I'll ask them, can you send me a piece? And so I'll get a, 24 by 24 inch piece of material that I can then cut up This is actually a pad that will be another product into another marketplace. Whoops, here, I'm trying to do this with two hands. There we are. Okay. So again, it's a different pad, different densities and things. So, you know, and I've already got cut things, but I've got a,
you need help? Like I can appear over here now.
yeah. So I have a press that I have here in the shop, and I think Wendy's talked already about the pad inserts for boots.
Here, I'll take some over to my side and I can show them.
Okay, she can show you over there. So in order to do those, I've actually have some dies that have been made up. Okay, this is a number 3. No, this is the number 2 die. There's a number 3 die here. Okay.
So that's to correlate with the size of the boots, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because what had happened was someone came to us and said, in fact, I think it was Ida, said, we use the Easy Cloud boots, but we can't get the inserts. You know, just we order them, we can't get them, they're out of stock, whatever. So I looked at what they had. I managed to actually buy some, and I have bought every boot that is out there. Okay, so because we started looking and say, well, this is a market. This is something we can explore based on the Surefoot product and the principles of Surefoot. So, you know, so again, I showed you because I was talking about the top layer, but basically this is a boot insert that is a firm. Okay, here's a soft insert, and then here's a medium. So, and again, the smear on there is that I was experimenting with printing on them, so that rather than just the bare product, which is what you get when you order the other insert, it'll say Surefoot and it's going to say what density.
I basically took my signature stamp and stamped it on the pads. Okay.
Yeah, it was the only thing I had quick and stuff. But, you know, again, it's, you know, have I been experimenting? Oh yeah, lots of different pads, and you know, and this is yet a different product. Okay, but again, with adhesive tapes and bondings and everything else.
Very much in prototype stage, that one that he showed. So
right, very much. And there's another one I can't even show you yet.
Okay, so somebody's asked me a question. Let me answer that. So how does it work with giving the horse the choice to stand on them and how long they want to stand on them? So the difference with our boot inserts is that they're thinner, right? They're going to be 1/2 inch to inch thick. And the materials that we're using in those pads, they're going to basically conform to the horse's foot. So if you think about in Dr. Bob Bowker's lectures, he talked about the dirt plug. Basically what will happen is the pads, because they're thinner, they're going to basically crush where there's pressure and form like that dirt plug. And I will go and look and see if I have some photos here of what they look like coming out of a boot that's been in a boot for a couple of weeks. So I'm going to mute it so that we're not conflicting sound. And I'll.
So yeah, Wendy was just talking about that. We had sent some pads out, some inserts to a customer to do some testing, and she just raved about it because her horse has to be in boots 24/7. And with these, she put them in, yes, they crush down, but they conform to the foot, you know, to the frog. They created that dirt plug, and her horse could walk off, was in the boots, was comfortable. She said he's the most comfortable he's been in ages and ages. So we know this is a product that is going to work. And again, we can give variations on it. You know, right now the initial product is just going to be the bare densities of foams, but you know, we may find someone says, I really want that top layer. Okay, let's understand why, and does it work? And is that yet another version of these boot inserts?
I have to look for this. I haven't found the pictures yet, but
okay.
but that basically that's part of the research and development that we do. when we come up with an idea, we'll test it out on our own horses first, just to see how it's going to work on our own horses. Brad, not yet. Not yet, Brad. Not ready yet, Brad.
I know it's something that she came up to me and said, how do we do this? How do we do this?
When you were saying that, that's what I thought of, Wendy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's an interesting household because we're constantly bashing stuff back and forth. But the boot inserts, basically, we've had them out in testing now for 6 months, I think. And
About that, yeah.
And that's the thing, that once we played with them, we sent them out. And Ida Hammer has been, since she came to us and asked us for them, we've been sending them out to her people, and they've been testing them and giving us feedback. And basically that's what's going to happen in the boot insert, is that the pad actually crushes where there's pressures. And so we're only working with 2 of our materials, the soft and the firm at this point, because the medium is too springy, in my opinion. I think it's not going to do that. And then we're considering whether or not we're going to do the hard, but it's going to require more testing. So we just keep messing around.
Yeah.
So the idea is, like, if you have a horse that has these boots and is laminitic, the instead of what the boots provide, because like Easy Boot or Cloud Boot has some sort of insert, this is going to be something that you feel is going to relieve pain and pressure in a different way, in a more,
and that's the reports
way,
that we have.
Yeah, so that's the insert there that comes with the boot. Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is basically I think we did cut one open.
It's a molded foam.
Mm-hmm.
It's a molded foam, okay? But as you play with it, it doesn't give very much. Mm-hmm. It's very, very stiff, very, very stiff. So if you got a laminitic horse, yeah, it's a pad, but it's not really going to be very comfortable for him. It's not that much softer than the inside of the boot itself, and it's not going to conform. It'll warm up over, just by being under the foot, but I don't believe it's really going to mold and give the horse the comfort versus, what we've got here. I can squeeze it down very easily. This, again, this is the firm material, and and the soft is firm even more. Now, what we say with our pads is the regular Surefoot pads, they get nicks and cuts and everything, but they're still functional. Okay, they may look terrible, but you can keep on using them. And Felicitas has got probably the worst looking pads on the planet, but she's working with them every day of the week with lots of horses, and she's our ultimate tester. We send some stuff up to her for, I guess you'd call it endurance testing.
Durability testing.
Durability. She's going to put it through its paces. She's going to, we've sent a pad up there because when she does stacking, that it reaches the maximum point with some of the adhesives. So we've had to try to look and see if we can solve that problem. It's a rare situation, but it does happen. So can we fix it? So again, we send them up to her. And as I say, Surefoot pads are pretty indestructible. They're not made to last forever. But again, because we spent the time, almost a year, selecting foams, we've got materials that will stand up to the use. Now, as we apply them into a boot, okay, it's a much more concentrated environment, very tight inside that boot. It's a small area and everything. So, how long is the pad going to last? I don't know yet. We just don't know because there's not enough time out there. But as one person said to us, I don't really care. My horse is so comfortable because when that pad has sort of scrunched down, it's molding, it's creating that dirt plug. He is so comfortable. She said, I don't care if I have to change him, every couple of months or whatever the interval is, because he is comfortable and he can move, he can, walk around, trot around and everything. And she said, that's what it's worth to me. So, the life of a boot insert is going to be different than it will be for the full-size pad. But what we're after is how much comfort can we bring to the horses, which was what the original purpose of Surefoot was. So that's what we've got so far.
Yeah, I can't find those pictures from the testers that we have out there, but basically what's going to happen with these boot inserts is when they're under that kind of weight load, they're basically going to fill in. And so, you know, when you listen to Dr. Bowker talk about the dirt plug and how that's filling into the bottom of the foot, the sole of the foot, we think that that's kind of how our pads are working in those boots, because they're going to respond, and they're going to respond to where the pressure is. They're going to squish, and where there isn't, they're going to fill, and that tends to even everything out. So we're really excited about it. We're hoping to have, like I said, have that product available within the next couple months. The thing we're working out right now is ink. You know, what ink is going to stick on our pads, and as you can see, that the ink that we tested out was smeary, but not to worry. I've got somebody coming over today, actually, Brad. Steve's coming today. He's coming.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Brad, I didn't know, Brad didn't know that. And we're going to work that out. So we're always working on stuff. So let's just open it up to the audience and see if they have any questions for you, Brad. Does anybody out there? Oh, thanks, Janella. Janella says it's pretty amazing what the two of us have come up with and continually develop. Yes, that's what it's like living with an engineer. And Brad would tell you that's what it's like living with an artist. I just get the crazy ideas, and then he has to figure out how to, and we've got other ideas that we've tried that haven't worked out.
Yeah, we've had a few failures, everything. But we have one that I'm really excited about, and it's going to take me another 4 to 6 months to get it where I want it. I had a concept in my head when we first started talking about it, and Wendy could not for the life of her understand what I was talking about. And finally I bought something and I said, this is what I'm talking about. This is how it's going to work. And she went, oh, okay, this is great. So, you know, she bought into it, but then the next part was, okay, I got to start looking at materials. And so, you know, like I have all these foams, now you would think that I'm selling sofas because I have piles of fabrics, and that's all I can say about this thing. But
teaser alert, teaser alert.
Yeah, it's going to be, like I say, it's a lot of work. We have a vet that is going to help us through the prototyping stages and giving some feedback. We did send another product to him, and he said it was okay, but there was a problem with it. And what we figured out was, okay, that's because of the floor in his clinic. So this other product will resolve that. So, you know, just stay tuned. Know that we are constantly in development. And if anybody out there has an idea, okay, I mean, we just had someone, I spoke to her on the phone the other day, and again, I can't go into the details of it, but she sent me a sketch and she said, I'm looking for this, blah, blah, blah. And so I got her on the phone and talked to her, and I kind of walked her through what I'm working on. And she said, oh my God, she said, so you've been doing this almost same thing for over a year. And I said, yes. And here's why I'm going this direction versus what you were suggesting. And she's like, oh yeah, that's even better yet. And so again, I'm always interested to what somebody has seen or has thought of. We're happy to take a look at it. And, you know, and if you email Wendy and, you know, she and I talk about it, we can give you personal feedback as to that's a great idea, but, or, hey, that would be something that we could look at and maybe put on a product schedule somewhere down the road.
Somebody asked about, would an x-ray show the pad working as dirt plug? I don't think you need the x-ray, because that's why I'm trying to find the picture. When you take the pad out of the boot, it is the shape of, you can see the bottom of the foot impressed into the pad and where it's all squished. So basically it's conforming into that foot. And it,
well, think
I
sort
can't
of
find the pictures, Brad. I wish I had.
Okay.
Do you remember who it was that was testing? Because I could look her up by name, but
was she up in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, but I need a first name.
Oh, I probably have to look on my computer and stuff.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
We'll find pictures.
Well, you know, the way to think of this is if you've ever put like a Dr. Scholl insert in your shoe and then you pull it out, you know, 3 months later, and here's the ball of my foot, here's where the toes are, here's where the heel is. That's what essentially is going to happen with the boot inserts. It will start to conform. It'll start to shape. Okay. Now, in a regular Surefoot pad, the soft pad, you can step on it all day long, on and off, on and off, on and off, and it bounces back because you're only on it temporarily. So, but if you're on it constantly, as it would be in the boot, it will conform. It'll start to shape and mold, and it'll spring back. So it's not like you're going to get a mirror, but you'll start to see that there's the shape of the bottom of the foot. And the same thing will happen with the firm. Probably not quite as dramatically because of the different density. But again, it's the important part is it's conforming to the foot so that it gives support where it's needed. And that's what the dirt does. It fills in those gaps so that the horse has a nice surface to be standing on. And in a boot, I think that's probably very important because you've created this artificial floor that they're walking around on. And anything we can do to make that whole experience more palatable, I think is going to make it good for the horse.
Well, and wasn't it Bob, Wendy, that said that the boots kind of changed the angles a bit? So if the pad was in there, the horse could sort of adjust its own angles, right?
Yeah, what the boot does is it actually lengthens
The toe.
lengthens the foot a little bit. In the therapy boots, I don't think it's quite as much of a problem because the horses aren't moving like under
Right.
saddle. With some of the boots that people wear when they're riding their horses, that's definitely going to affect stride
Mhm.
because it's lengthened that toe. So I'm searching for those pictures, but I can't. I will find them. And then let's see. It makes me so Dorothy's commenting. It makes me think of a hoof patty. Hey, that's a great name, Brad. A hoof patty that you get when the horse is walking about in the snow. Yes, and so that's exactly right. That when a horse walks around in the snow and then that flips out of the foot, that's exactly what this pad looks like when they come out of them. And it doesn't take that long. And again, depending on how long the horse is in the boot with the pad, depends on its durability, of course. But that's the same idea. That snowpack is the same idea as a dirt plug, that the foot fills in. And it was interesting talking with Bob because his horses don't form that dirt plug very easily. But in my area in Virginia, we have a clay base. And so they'll walk in the barn aisle and flip out their dirt plugs. In fact, I know I have a picture of a dirt plug. And then they just go right out and make another one. So
Yeah.
Dirt plugs.
I'm going to jump on my computer and see if I can find those
Okay.
while you keep talking.
All right.
Couldn't the imprints on the boot pads be used by a farrier or a vet even to assess loading and all of that kind of stuff? It could be a good bit of information for professionals to look at.
Yeah, I think that every time we have another perspective, it's good information. And so here's a sample of a dirt plug just from the side. And there it is from the bottom. It just looks like the floor, right?
Mhm.
And there it is flipped over. You can see here the shape of the frog. So
Yeah.
this is essentially what our pad is going to look like when you're done. When you've had it in a boot for a while, it's going to crush where there's pressure, not where there isn't, fill in, and that it'll be flat on the bottom and it will have the shape of the foot. And that's one of the things that I think so fascinating is how,
Did you find it?
I found my dirt plugs, but I didn't find the pictures of the pads. How it really does seem to serve this type of purpose,
Mhm.
which, if in other situations, if the pad just collapses, it's not filling in and providing that support. And that's why we're really excited. But I think hoof patties is a great name, Brad.
Yeah.
So Dorothy, we might be stealing that one. Great. All right. Well, while Brad's looking to see if he can find some actual pictures of the boot inserts themselves, I think, Alex, we're getting close to our drawing time, don't you? You want to commission Dorothy? Okay.
That's what I was just going to say.
So how many people did we have enter the contest this week?
Over 200. So I want to remind everybody that if you entered this week, because we had a lot that didn't enter last week, you need to go back to the week 1 post and enter a comment there. and I will go back and I will look at the new comments and add and put a little hash mark that you have entered week 1.
So Alex gets the lovely job of tracking all of you during the 5 weeks of this contest. And in order to be eligible for the grand prize, the full set, the over $1,000 value of Surefoot pads, you need to have entered all 5 weeks. So what that means is if you don't enter, week 1 and week 2, but you enter week 3, you're eligible for the weekly drawing week 3, but to be eligible for the grand prize, you've got to go back and just complete an entry on week 1 and 2. You can find those posts on Surefoot Fans of Surefoot page and on the Surefoot Equine page. Just scroll down. It'll say week 1 in the text. It doesn't say week 1 on the picture, but all the other weeks now are going to say what week they are. Like this week we had the anniversary emblem and it said week 2 contest. So week 3 will have that. So just go back. If you have any questions, just text us, PM us, whatever, we'll help direct you there. But you need to enter all 5 weeks to be eligible for the grand prize, the $1,000 pack of pads. And let's see, there was a comment here. So let me just check. Oh, Brad is the hoof prince.
Yes.
I'll call him that now. Oh, hoof prince, how are you today? He'll love that. This is a silly webinar today, but sometimes, you just have to.
I think it was great information that needed to get out there. I think this is really good.
Great. All right, Alex, you have the bowl with the show us.
I have the bowl.
Oh, I can't see it. You got to hold it up in front of your chest. There you go. There we got it. Okay. And she's going to reach in and draw.
I'm not looking. I see them all. See, there's lots of them.
Yeah. And it's awesome. It's really fun for us. Oh, great. So Dorothy loves hearing about how we came about with all of this. Thanks, Dorothy.
So it's Hunter Glisson Warner.
Awesome. Hunter Glisson Warner, you are a winner of the week 2 drawing for a free pair of Surefoot pads. We will reach out. Yeah, winner. We should have confetti falling, right? We'll reach out to you on Facebook, but if you are listening or you hear about this, just get in touch with us. We need your address and we'll ship you off a pair of pads. Yeah. We are so excited to have.
Yeah, just Facebook message the Surefoot Equine page if you are watching or whatever. I will go on Facebook and I will message you through Facebook.
Yep, and we'll post it. We'll post the winner when we get done here with the webinar. And
Marissa, is that her name?
Oh, is it Marissa?
Yes, I think so. She got some from Ida Hammer.
Oh wait, I can probably find that. We might actually have a picture. MER.
MARISSA.
ISS or 1 S?
2 S's.
2 S's. Let's see if I can find that picture. No, I can't, but that's okay. We'll find that picture. We'll have it next time. We'll show you what these boot inserts are going to look like when they've been in a pair of boots for a while. And thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for being fans of Surefoot. We'll post the week 3 contest on Sunday, so stay tuned for that.
Somebody's asking a question real quick, Wendy.
What's that?
A webinar that talks about PSSM.
Oh yeah, I contacted the person about PSSM and she hasn't gotten back to me. So I'm hoping to find someone that is knowledgeable and that will respond so we can have them on on a webinar. So we definitely do take consideration from what you guys ask. It's not always possible for us to find a guest that we feel will give you really good information, but we are still looking. So, okay, there's a name. Great. I will copy that and I will reach out to them. So thanks so much. And thank you everybody for joining us. And
bye everybody. Have a good weekend.
And have a great weekend. We're going to have snow and lovely weather here in February.
Yeah.
I wish I was there in Costa Rica, but not this year, next year. Okay.
Bye everybody.
Bye.